fit within what the intent of the ordinance is. And I don't think it fits within the intent of the ordinance to basically build 1,500 square feet extra in the basement. So I would not support the special structure permit.
Yet our ordinance allows 130%.
It does.
So that's 30%, in effect, will be outside of the building itself, building line itself. So even though we don't like it, and some of us voted against the 130, that is the rule.
But it's not as of right, because if it was as of right, then there'd be no reason to come here. I mean, if it was, these are rules under which the planning commission may approve. It's not, if it was as of right, we wouldn't have a hearing.
Well, perhaps Lisa or Bill can answer your.
You're both right. I mean, it's totally permissive with the planning commission, but it has the exceptions. And they seem to fall exactly within the exceptions if the planning commission so agrees that this is a good idea. Meaning your 75% has to be underneath the building, and it can go to 130%. That's to give them some flexibility. Now, that flexibility is discretionary with the town. So with the planning commission or the city council, they can grant under the ordinance without any exception to variance or any change. They can grant, you can grant this special structures permit. But again, you don't have to.
Right, and my interpretation of the 130% is somebody who's not building to the very last square foot. If they wanted to do something that allowed them to build a basement that, you know, went up to 130 square feet, I would look at it differently. But I see it as basically a way to build a bigger basement than you would have if you built out your first floor to the maximum extent, and then wanted to go beyond that footprint as well. So I see the extra 30%, the intent was for, you know, properties that were not already building out to the last square foot. I didn't see the 30% as a way to sort of circumvent the floor area maximums above ground.
I'll let you finish.
Okay, thank you. Eric?
So, I don't think it's our role to worry about intent. I think it's our role to work to concern ourselves with the plan and the impact of the plan request, and make sure that it fits within the requirements of both law and ordinance. So if someone came to me and said, hey, I want to have this basement and it's going to do this, and we're going to work around these trees, and it's going to cut into the trees, but it's within the ordinance, I'd say, well, wait a minute, that one doesn't make sense to me. If this were a house and it had 130%, it was beyond it just because we decided that we wanted to have, you know, elevator garages rather than above ground garages, I might say, oh, I don't get it. But since the footprint of it doesn't go beyond the end of the footprint of the home, and I believe that the design of the home is better for it. So the flip of this would be, okay, if you want me to make the house that footprint, I will. And then I'll be allowed to do it. So all I would say is that there's nothing about the request for me that has any impact on the neighborhood, or in fact improves it because of what it does with above ground parking. And I agree with the notion about let's make it less impactful during the construction, because I think that takes a lot of digging. But as long as that's done, I don't think there's any planning reason for this not to be approved.
Thank you. My position is that I would approve the application. I've always opposed the 130%, and I continue to oppose it, but it's been the law, even though it's now interpreted as discretionary, but it's been basically what we've followed in the past, and so I would say that we should follow it in this case. So may we have a motion?
I will move that we accept I move that the planning commission approve the special structure permit at 228 Atherton Avenue based on the findings and for the reasons enumerated by the staff report, and subject to the conditions listed in the draft special structures permit to allow basement with square footage 1 foot greater than the first floor of the main residence.
1 foot?
Well, it says greater than, but I didn't want to make it,
Yeah, that's
all right, greater than is fine, all right.
Okay.
second.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against?
I,
know.
The application is approved on 4-1 vote. Thank you very much for coming. I think there's no other business to come before the planning commission at this time, so we have a motion to adjourn.
I'm out of motions.
I was gonna say, I don't want to, I'm having so much fun, I don't really want it to end. I move we adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.
I have to know.
The meeting is adjourned.